Taylor Blackwell, how's it going?
I'm great. How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing great. Yeah, thanks for coming on. I'm really excited. So, can you introduce yourself and tell us where you're from, where you live now, and what you do?
I'm Taylor Blackwell. I'm originally from Jupiter, Florida. I mostly live in New York now, but also spend a good amount of time in Los Angeles. So, kind of consider myself bi-coastal these days. And I'm a creative actor, writer, director, and a few other things too.
Yeah, definitely. Where's Jupiter in Florida?
It's on the east coast of Florida, and it's a beach town. It's in Palm Beach County.
Okay, very cool. So, yeah, when I was doing my research on you, I saw that you're not only a writer director, right? But when I was looking at the IMDb page for your film, It Happened, the Judy Tenuta Story, you starred in it, you produced it, you helped edit it, but you're also like a musician, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so you play guitar, ukulele, piano, and the accordion. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I just purchased an Omnicord, so that will be the next thing on the
I,
list. I'm
what's the
very
omnichord?
excited. It's a Japanese electronic instrument. I've wanted one for a really long time. I Unfortunately, accordion is such a pain to travel with. When I moved to New York, it I wrapped it up so much. I tried so hard and it still kind of broke. So I want to have an instrument that I can play that's a little bit more portable, that I don't have to schlep when I play shows. So that's where the Omnicord is hopefully going to come in.
Yeah, very cool. So it's, do you have it with you? I'm kind of, I guess I could
I
Google it, but,
wish it's on the way. It's headed
oh,
to
okay,
me
cool.
now. I'm
Sweet.
very excited. I keep checking the tracking info.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you're kind of like unabashedly an artist, it seems like. So I want to talk to you a little bit about how you turned out that way. Were you always kind of naturally ambitious artistically?
Yeah, I've my first love was visual art, and I've been drawing for as long as I can remember. Especially that was my favorite activity growing up with my grandfather. We would just spend hours drawing and arts and crafts and making my own Halloween costumes. And I started acting when I was 5, so I've really been doing creative things my whole life.
Yeah, that's right. I saw that you were in the Burt Reynolds acting class. Were you like 10 when you took that class?
That's when I started. Yeah. So I was taking another class at the Burt Reynolds Institute in Jupiter, Florida, where I'm from, taught by a different teacher. And then he saw something in me and brought me into the master acting class taught by Mr. Reynolds. And he was my teacher and my mentor from basically 10 to I believe 20 when he passed away.
That's so cool. I love Burt Reynolds.
Me too.
Um, what's that movie that he's in where he plays a Native American? Have you seen that one?
Oh no, I haven't.
No.
Probably didn't age
Well,
well.
I thought that too, and I told that to a buddy. He's like, "That sounds problematic," but I'm like, I actually Googled it, and he's half Native American, so I was like, I think that
There you
works.
go.
Yeah. So when you were a kid, who supported your creative interests like most? Like it sounds like Burt Reynolds helped, which is pretty sweet. But yeah, like family, friends, did they all support you?
Yeah, my mom especially would drive me hours to an hour and a half each way to Miami for auditions. That's where most of my auditioning was happening. So it was such a big time and energy commitment. And she just believed in me and wanted to support my passion. So I'm very grateful. And my whole family has been very supportive. And then I've also had other teachers that even just teachers who were not creative teachers, but English and math and people like that who were willing to accommodate me leaving school for filming or for modeling or auditioning, things like that.
That is cool. Yeah, I've heard some horror stories where students go off for an acting job and they come back and they get an F in their class or something. Um,
Yeah, I mean there were definitely teachers who weren't supportive, but there were some really wonderful ones who were.
I was going to ask, were there any people who were like really unsupportive of your career who were like, no, don't be an artist. You need to be an engineer or anything like that?
I don't think anyone was unsupportive in that way where they were like, you need to have a more traditional path, thankfully. But I definitely did have teachers who made it very difficult for me, who weren't accommodating, even though I was a straight A student and really dedicated to my education from a young age. I think there was people who just, I don't know. I almost even want to say were a bit jealous of me as a young person, which is kind of weird to say that about adults, but I think there's some truth to it.
Yeah, I'm jealous. So I look through your career. I'm like, holy crap, she's just like so accomplished for 27, right? Like super accomplished.
Thank you.
But so I'm going to need you to name names of those teachers so we can shame them in the comments. No, I'm just joking.
Thankfully, most of them are very good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Anyone tell you to just pick one thing where you're like, you shouldn't be a musician and an actress. You should just focus on one thing?
Yeah, I mean, my whole life people have been like, well, what do you like the best? Like, which one is your favorite of the different creative pursuits? And that's always an impossible question for me to answer because they feel so intertwined for me.
Well, that's good to know. I'm going to cross that question off my list here. Which is your favorite? Were you ever worried that it would kind of work against you? Like people would kind of think of you as a musician and like, she's kind of half an actress, half a musician. Like, were you ever worried about that, or did that really not cross your mind?
No, I think more so the worry that I still sometimes have is being spread thin, and the way I combat that is oftentimes I have a specific project that I funnel more energy into than, and sometimes other creative interests take a little bit of a backseat. But it is hard sometimes to do, you just simply can't do all the things all the time as much as you might love to or want to. But hopefully you're gifted with time to do a lot of the things.
Totally. I was going to actually ask you about that because like I'm a filmmaker, and since I started the film festival, the Spark of Madness Film Festival, and the podcast, it's been really hard to write. Like I have to get into like a really like daydreamy headspace to write, and I'm always in like problem solving mode with like the film festival and stuff. So how do you switch back and forth? Like do you have any tactics?
It's hard, and it's something I'm figuring out for myself right there with you, because I, especially the film that you mentioned, taking on a producer role on that, and then there's all sorts of logistical things that you have to think about that take away sometimes from the time spent on the creative things. That balance is tricky. I remember David Lynch said something about having 4 uninterrupted hours to do your creative work, and that's where the best things come out, because it takes a little bit of time to really get into the groove and the mindset. I just try to think about what my priorities are, my intentions are. I do a lot of list making where I try to write things into my schedule. Okay, today I'm going to spend 2 hours in the morning, first thing, writing or doing this. And then also delegating certain responsibilities. Hopefully, creatively, you have people that you can rely on for certain things, and you can just say, hey, you do this and I'll do this thing, and we'll tag team, not taking everything on your own shoulders.
Yeah. I always think of in psychology, there's this triple network theory that's applied to artists, where there's the executive network and the default mode network, and then the salience network. And then to be an artist, you really have to be in the default mode network, it seems like, to kind of, it's like your daydreamy space. But if you have things like pulling you into that executive functioning network, it's like really hard to start daydreaming and stuff. So it's like, I find with my work, it's if I start reading a script that I have like half finished or whatever, then I can usually get into the groove better. But I have to make sure I read. I can't just sit there and be like, what do I do next? What do I do next? Because then I just start like, I got the ADD too. So I just start like, maybe I can fix something for the film festival. I should email that sponsor, So yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, you gotta always like put your phone off and put it in a drawer and try to have that like quiet time, or even just like going on a walk. I feel like sometimes helps get into that good creative headspace.
Walks are the best. Yeah. And I hear so many artists and philosophers like in the past who are like, yeah, I do my best work after I walk for an hour and a half or something. So
Hmm.
walks. Yeah, I'm with you. I love walks. Did you skip college because you were already like so like accomplished and you didn't see the need for it at all?
I did skip college. The reason was I already knew what I wanted to do, and I had representation as an actor in Los Angeles, and I had a lot of friends there. So I felt I want to just really keep the ball rolling on the successes I'd already had, and hit the ground running into my adulthood. And so I moved to LA right when I turned 18 from Florida, and and got right into auditioning. And I at some point I would love to, I've taken courses here and there, but I'd love to continue my education. I just felt like if I was going to go to college, I'd probably want it to be for something non-acting.
Hmm.
Um, and and I'm not even entirely certain. I have ideas of what that would be, but I'm not. Especially at 18, I didn't really know what specifically I'd want to go to school for.
I feel you. I feel you. Well, it seems like you give lectures. It sounds like on things like Van Gogh. I'll get to that, but yeah, it sounds like you probably didn't need college. So, and I talk to people all the time about whether or not film school is like worth it. But I keep hearing that it's worth it for the networking. But it sounds like you were already networking pretty well and had representation and stuff. So it's like I don't know if there's much point in going to college for acting if you're already getting consistent jobs and stuff. So, um, you want to talk about your music and your drawings a little bit?
Sure.
All right, good. So you're in a bubblegum punk band, as it was explained to me, called The Tenth. So why do you love punk and bubblegum punk specifically?
I love that punk has this really do it yourself spirit to it, where so
Hmm.
many of the first wave punks were building their own guitars or barely knew how to play their instruments, but they wanted to perform. They weren't classically trained in music. They just liked being able to express themselves and to scream and express anger. And I think what first really drew me to punk as a teenager was being a very responsible and sort of borderline goody two shoes kid. So I wanted this outlet where I could be a little bit more rebellious and talk about things that made me angry and frustrated. And writing punk songs was a great outlet for that. Plus I love 1950s music, which punk to me feels just kind of like sped up 50s songs. A lot of the times it's very
Yeah.
similar chord progressions. And
Hmm.
then bubblegum punk was just sort of what my bandmate and I we called it. I mean, we had heard that term before, but our version of punk music was actually very sweet and sugary. It wasn't always like super super angsty or screaming all the time. Some of our songs are actually pretty melodic.
Yeah. Are you self-taught then?
Um, I took piano lessons as a kid.
Hmm.
I taught myself ukulele and then started teaching myself guitar, but then ended up going to a guitar teacher and had to unlearn some bad habits I developed from the self teaching.
Hmm.
So I've had music teachers on and off throughout my life, but some of it has been self taught.
Yeah, that's very cool. So your guitar and lead vocals, is that right?
Hmm.
And then there's Eden Hain on guitar, Harley Quinn Smith on bass and vocals, and then Kelly Cruz on the drums.
Yeah,
So cool. So do you write most of the songs for the band?
we wrote a lot of the songs together. We've been on a hiatus for a very long time, um, um, But when we were writing songs together, it really was a collaborative effort. And I feel like I am stronger at lyrics versus melodies. Melodies are just harder for me. And I think that's where Harley and I made a really good team, because she's really strong with melody and she's great lyrically too. But there were times when I'd hand her lyrics and she'd put a melody to it. And I really love that style of collaboration.
Yeah, that's very cool. What are your favorite songs from the punk band, I should say?
Oh, I think I think my favorite song is probably Hymns and Hieroglyphs. That was one I was really proud of. And I really like the music video that we made for it too. I liked doing all the music videos with my band. Those are really fun. I'm very proud of them.
I was listening on Spotify. I did not know there were music videos, so I'm gonna have to go back and watch those.
Yeah, they're on YouTube.
Awesome. I really liked. I saw Ghost. I thought the instrumentals had kind of like a Brian Jonestown Massacre kind of vibe. I
Oh,
thought they were really
cool.
cool.
Yeah, I like them. We have a music video
Yeah.
for that one too.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm going to watch that then. So what's your favorite popular punk band that kind of a layman like me would know? And then what's your favorite kind of punk band overall?
I love the Ramones.
Nice.
They're the first people that came into my head. I, not so much a band, but I really love Richard Hell. He was kind of the OG punk. And I met him on the street my first week in New York and was extremely starstruck, and probably made him very uncomfortable, because I was very nervous to talk to him, and my boyfriend literally pushed me in his direction because he knew I wanted to talk to him, but I was getting shy. And he was very kind to me, but yeah, it was one of those meeting your hero moments, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you released a solo album too called In Memory of Haroldine. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it's a bit different than your music with the 10th. How would you describe that album and kind of your solo music style?
It's a little bit more indie folk rock. I always wanted to bring my accordion playing into the 10th, my punk band. And maybe someday, if we end our hiatus, I'll convince them, but they weren't feeling it. So the solo album, I do bring my accordion into the music a little bit. And so that definitely influences the sound. And I was listening to a lot of Bell and Sebastian for influence for that album. I love REM. I'm trying to think who else. Those were some of the big ones for that album.
Yeah. Do you think you had a message with that album, or was it just a collection of things that of like kind of single songs that you put together?
In my mind, it tells a story, and that there is a message, or at least themes. There's definitely a theme of mortality and being remembered, and does that even matter, and in which way does it matter, that sort of thing. And it's called In Memory of Haroldine because there was a woman named Haroldine who I'd never met. She was a stranger to me, but she died outside of our recording studio. She was hit by a car, and yeah, it was really horrible. And the next time I went to record after that happened, someone made a little poster saying "In Memory of Haroldine," and it felt like the right thing to name the album that. So there was no album title really going into recording, but then when I saw that, it felt right.
I really liked BS Poetry. I thought it was really cool. And
Thanks.
So Sweetly. I liked Pennies from '98. It had kind of like a cool Joy Division vibe, I thought.
Thanks.
And I love Joy Division. Joy Division's
Me
cool.
too.
So let's talk about Earth Sign Love, right? That's the illustrations, right?
Yes.
So how would you describe your style and what you're trying to communicate with your illustrations, if you're trying to send a message with your illustrations?
Definitely. I think it's for one, just a creative outlet. And it started off just kind of as a silly, fun thing that I did in the pandemic. And the first volume or two is really mostly about me and my friends and just little anecdotes from our lives. And then it's now become a little bit more about things I've experienced and my kind of musings about the world around me. And I really more so, I like it as a tool to connect with people, to connect with strangers. I give them out to people on the train when I'm here in New York. If I'm playing a concert, I give them out to people. So it's the way for me to share my art in a tangible way, and a way that's like, kind of an energy exchange. And then I really love pop art. I have a little Keith Haring behind me. He's my favorite, and I loved his spirit of sharing art, of drawing for people, of making murals and public art, and believing that art was for everybody. So I'm hoping that this comic is sort of my extension of that idea.
Hmm. Yeah, I love your style too. I really liked the one. I think you're in your bedroom playing the accordion, and you used it for the cover art for "First Time I Died." Is that right?
Yeah, I made a like a little animated music video. And I've also, yeah, done some cover art for some of my songs too.
That's cool. Did you do the animation yourself?
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool. How'd you do that? What software do you use? I'm just
I
curious.
use Procreate, which it's very tedious. Like there's probably an easier software for me to use, but that's just kind of the only one I know. I'm making another little animated thing right now, and it's a slow burn for sure, but I like it. It's very meditative.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I like your style. It's really cool.
Thank
So, when it
you.
comes to all the different things you do, music, acting, I won't ask you which one you like best because apparently that's a bit of a stereotype and trite question. But maybe I can ask which one makes you feel like safest and most at home? Like, which one are you most comfortable doing, you think?
Hmm. I feel really in my element with acting at this point, since I've been doing it for so long. Um, like I feel like I'm at this point with it where I still am always growing, and there's of course room to grow, but I just believe in my capabilities with it. Um, and I'm excited. I feel like I've put in my like 10,000 hours at least. So
Probably
that
more,
has,
right? Yeah.
yeah, at this point. So there's a confidence that just comes naturally with that. Um, and then there's something about playing accordion that you really have to focus so intently when you do it, because it's a very complicated instrument. And I feel that the moment my mind wanders to something else, I mess up. So there is a different at home feeling with that. That's more of like the flow state people talk about, where if I'm really in it and really concentrated and playing, I feel that flow state where it feels like I'm at home, but it also feels like, what did I just do? Like, where did I just go?
Hmm. Yeah. Well, let's talk about your acting a little bit, if you're okay with that.
Yes.
Um, so you were in Resident Alien, which I loved, but you were in shows on Showtime and FX and Stars and Netflix. So when did you start getting roles for these bigger networks, and what helped you to start getting those roles?
Mm, so yeah, I started acting when I was 5, and mostly was doing commercials and short films, things like that. And then the first TV show that I worked on was One Tree Hill, and that was when I was 10, I think. And then sort of the first big, like really big role that I got on a show was when I was 13, which was a show for the Stars Network called Magic City. So that's I think really the that was sort of the mile marker moment for me.
So what advice would you give young actors who are kind of desperate to get representation?
Mm. The industry has changed so much from even just when I entered it, which is not that long ago. And I think about this for myself too, of, the build it and they will come mentality. I think it's hard advice because there are certainly actors who they don't want to be writers and directors. They just want to act, which is totally fair and understandable. And are, so many actors before me, that's all that they ever did too. And so now I feel there's this expectation of like everyone needs to be doing a little bit of everything. But I do think there is some good advice in that, which is like filming yourself to improve your skill set and then also hopefully create something that people are coming to you versus like trying to knock on other people's doors. I think it can be a little bit of both. But I think if you want to do anything, try to do things that you have control over. And part of that is maybe just filming silly videos with friends or like a short film or you doing a monologue into your phone camera on TikTok, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So do you have any side hustles or do you just focus on the acting and that's what pays the bills?
I'm lucky that that's what pays the bills. I mean, I would say like my art and music and stuff, those would be like side hustles in a way, but those aren't, you know, that seems a little bit, different. I've taught music in the past, which has been something I've really enjoyed and is a fun thing for me. And I hope to continue doing that in some capacity. But going back to what we were saying about time management, it's hard to balance all the things sometimes. And I try not to stretch myself too thin, but I am guilty of that sometimes.
Yeah, I hear you. So as an actress, what kind of roles do you get most excited about, like auditioning for or playing?
I think part of what really excites me the the people I'd potentially get to work with, like the directors and other cast members or producers. That stuff really excites me. And I think the roles just it depends mostly on the writing versus like the character type. But I'm always looking for the intersection of my different interests. So anytime I get to play a character who's artsy or who is a musician, that's really, really exciting to me.
Yeah, but it sounds like the quality of the writing is probably the most important thing over the type of character.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I
Yeah,
do
because
like
it's like
period pieces though.
oh, nice.
That's always
What was?
exciting no matter what.
Yeah, that sounds fun. What was the last period piece you did?
I really haven't done many of them. I guess the Judy Tenuta film is
Yeah,
a
I think that
period
counts.
piece. Yeah, so that was the last one. But really, I guess I did a short film that never saw the light of day. It was in the '60s, but that was fun. And then Magic City was set in 1959, so that was amazing because I love that era.
Yeah. Do you like it just because it's fun to kind of time travel a little bit and get in costume and kind of feel like an escapism type thing? Why do you like the period pieces so much?
Totally. I am interested in things from the past, and I like wardrobe of the past. I like music from the past, and yeah, just playing dress up is fun. Doing something a little bit out of the ordinary is fun. I would love to play a flapper. I mean, I kind of have a flapper haircut now too, so I feel like I'm inching closer to that. But it would also be super fun, I think, to do something like Bridgerton era or older or something that and a time period I'm not as familiar with, but would be fun to put on the clothes.
Yeah, I could totally see you in a Victorian piece. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
It'd be amazing.
So I'll pivot a little bit, but I'll bring it back, I promise. What is Mirrored Masters?
Mirrored Masters is a lecture that I wrote about the parallel lives of Keith Haring and Vincent van Gogh.
Very cool. So we've heard of Van Gogh, and you brought up Keith Haring earlier. So who's Keith Haring?
Keith Haring was a pop artist of the 1980s. So if you think of like the 80s art scene, you usually think about him and you think about Basquiat. I'd say those are like the
Hmm.
two heavy hitting names of that time. And Keith got his start, or really how he became part of the public eye, was he was doing these chalk drawings in the New York subway system,
Hmm.
where there would be these posters that when they would change out advertisements, they would have just like a piece of black paper in the advertisement panel. And he would go and start doing these quick little chalk drawings of his characters. And millions of people would pass through the subway and they would see them and they'd be like, who made these drawings? And then that helped him to have a career in the gallery world, eventually to open what's called the pop shop, which was his merchandising. And
Hmm.
he passed away at age 31 in
Oh,
1990. Yeah.
wow. So what's the link between Keith Haring and Van Gogh then?
There's so many things. There's a whole lecture worth
Yeah.
of things. And I'm hoping to also be able to post the lecture probably on my YouTube pretty soon. But they both accomplished so much in just a really short span of time. And we think about Van Gogh having these thousands of pieces of art, paintings, and drawings. Well, he created all that in just a 10-year span as a working artist. Same with Keith Haring, only 10 years as a working artist, but created thousands of pieces of art. And they really both like this idea of being a link in the chain of artists. And it brought them great solace when they both had feelings that they were potentially going to die young, that they were going to be living on through this lineage of artists. And they had made the livelihood of artists better through their existence and experiences. Van Gogh really wanted to set up an artist colony in the south of France to help artists not be starving artists, to share resources. Keith Haring did a lot of similar things to that too.
So we all know Van Gogh, or Van Gogh, if I want to, be pretentious. Van Gogh was a little bit of well, we all know that your story and that he was a bit mad. Was Keith Haring kind of an eccentric as well?
I wouldn't say had like the mental health mixed with drug problems that Van Gogh had. But he was definitely an eccentric and unique individual. And of course, Van Gogh had madness and would tell you so himself. There's lots of his writing, his letters, where he would talk about his madness and how he understood that people considered him to be crazy. But he also really was so intelligent and was very what is the word I'm looking for? Like had great awareness and I don't want to say normal because that's not the word at all, but there were often times when he was completely functioning on a high level. And then the whole part of him being mad is kind of, it's part of his story, but I don't think it's really was as dominating as we think it was.
Hmm. Well, I saw you posted that Robin Williams "Spark of Madness" quote on your TikTok, and when you sent that link, I was like, "This girl gets it." But and then you talked about Van Gogh. He had a very similar quote. I'm sure he said a lot of things about his madness, right? So I imagine those quotes meant something to you. So I'm wondering why kind of that link between madness and art seems important to you.
Yeah, the one Van Gogh quote I think I sent you was that it's something along the lines of like the grain of madness is the best of art. And just quickly what I was saying too before, like Van Gogh spoke and wrote in multiple languages, was like highly educated, like would sing and play piano, like had so many friendships. There's just like so much more to his story that I'm like excited to share with people through my lecture. Um,
Mm-hmm.
as far as your question goes, I think we all have. I mean, that's what the Robin Williams quote is, that we do really all have this spark of madness, and I think it's true, and I feel it's definitely true of me. I think it definitely manifests in the things I'm interested in and passionate about, and I I feel the best when I indulge in those passions. And so I hope that people also indulge in their passions, and let themselves be a little bit mad sometimes too, because I think humanity is better for it.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think the best artists are a little crazy, or do you think it's not like a prerequisite for being a great artist?
I mean, I guess it depends on what we think craziness is. Because I don't think you need to create crazy. I think the world is already insane, that existence itself is pure craziness and absurdity. So I think the greatest artists are just honest with themselves about who they are, and they don't hide it
Hmm.
really.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, I told you I'd bring it back, so let's talk about the Judy Tenuta story. Talking
Uh,
about eccentric artists.
yes,
Um, so I loved your performance. You played Judy Tenuta. Alan Tudyk plays
the Pope.
the Pope. Yeah. So I have some questions. So first, who is Judy Tenuta, and what drew you to tell her story?
Judy was a comedian. She was popular in the 80s and 90s. She did a lot of MTV uh, pop-ins, and the thing that sort of catapulted her career was this HBO special called Women of the Night. Oh, it was at
Mm.
Showtime. Now I'm in my head about it. It was a popular comedy special that Paula Poundstone and Ellen DeGeneres and lots of comedians came out of, and Judy was one of those comedians. And I am so drawn to Judy because she was what I was just saying. She was so authentically herself. Her comedy worked because it wasn't a put on. It was just sort of a amplified version, a theatrical version of from what I can gather how she operated in her daily life. And I'm an accordion player. You don't hear about accordion players all that often, especially women accordion players. So anytime I hear of one, I feel I've found a kindred spirit. And so I heard about Judy and how she was the Aphrodite of the accordion, and I wanted to be a part of telling her story.
Yeah, I was going to ask, did she inspire you to play the accordion, or did you playing the accordion like make you love her?
I had already been playing accordion for a while, and I it just made me love accordion even more and love her more, that we shared that in common. Her and I never got to meet. She passed away a couple of years ago, but I feel we have a lot of common threads between us, and accordion's definitely a big one of them.
Yeah. Did you have to work with her family to kind of get the rights to tell her story?
Yeah, I was predominantly working with her life partner, Vern Payne, who came on as a producer for the project. And he was really great about allowing me to use her real accordion for filming, and then also her real costumes. And she had kept a lot of her stage wear from the 80s and 90s. So it's pretty cool because there's footage of her on stage doing these comedy specials that I had seen this footage from doing research on her, and then found these same pieces in her closet when looking for costumes for the film. So some of it's really the exact same stuff that she wore on stage.
That's so cool. I watched some of her performances to kind of do research on this, and she was cracking me up. I love when she kind of she breaks herself a little bit. She kind of like breaks through the mask a little bit, and because she knows she's being ridiculous. But I really liked her. So why does Alan Tudyk play the Pope? Why is he the Pope in your film?
Judy had a bit about how she was dating the Pope in order to get closer to God. And she had a song called the Pope Song, which we recreate in the film. And so I was looking for someone to play the Pope. And I had worked with Alan on the TV show Resident Alien. I played his daughter on that show. And he's been a very wonderful supporter of me and all of my artistic endeavors, but especially me as a writer, director, performer. And I asked him if he would play the Pope, and he agreed, which was so kind of him.
Yeah, he's the man. I love that guy. Ever since, I quote Tucker and Dale vs. Evil all the time. So I love that guy. So where have you screened your film so far?
So far, we've done really just LA Film Fest. And then we did it wasn't a festival, but sort of a film screening night here in New York. And then we've got two coming up. We're playing CineQuest, and then the Poppy Jasper International Festival, it's going to be their 20th year this year. Oh, cool. So that'll be really fun. And I'm going to attend those festivals. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, and I saw the acceptance to CineQuest, so congratulations. They're a pretty big festival from what I hear, so that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. It's always cool to meet other filmmakers too.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. That's one of the best parts, really. So have you had any interesting reactions when you've screened the film? Anything you didn't really expect when in a screening, or has it gone kind of as expected?
The thing that's made me happy is that the people who don't know Judy have then told me, after seeing your film, I went and watched more of her actual comedy. And that's part of the intention, is that I give you a little peer into this woman's life and her artistry, and then hopefully you want to go dive deeper on her on your own. So I've been happy that has actually come to fruition. And then also on the flip side of that, the film has been really well received by people who are already fans of Judy. And that is a big compliment, because I want to do right by her and her legacy and her fans. But yeah,
I thought you nailed it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, just like watching her, she cracked me up. You cracked me up. I thought you did a great job. Can you tell me about you were producer on it? So what did that entail? Because I know being a producer is always a bunch of different things. So what did you do as producer for that film?
I was just generally wearing a lot of hats. I did all the casting for the film. Everyone in the film is a friend of mine, basically. And then there was a few people, like some of the we have some of Judy's siblings in the film, so some of those were people I didn't know previously, but went out and found. So casting, I was going out and getting props, communication with Judy's estate and also her friends and family. And then also now just all the logistical stuff with film festivals and that sort of thing, marketing type things.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. So what were the kind of fundraising strategies for the film? How'd you raise funds?
I was really lucky that my producer Brent Mata completely financed the film. So that's a rare treat.
Yeah, did he know Judy Tenuta, and he was like, yeah, I really want to help out with this?
That was exactly it. He and I had collaborated together previously on some of the 10th music videos, actually. Well, we did one of those together, and then we did another short film together too that I just acted in. And then Dax Campbell was another producer who also helped finance the film too. But Brent and I were looking for another thing to collaborate on, and he said, well, what would be a dream role for you? And I said, I don't know what the story would be, but I really like this woman, Judy Tenuta. And he was like, done. I like her too. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what are your goals for the short film? Are you hoping for distribution, or did you just want to make it and get it out there for people? What are your goals for the short film?
I want to get it as in front of as many people as possible. We're still waiting to hear back from another 20, 30 festivals. So I really want to do a screening in Chicago because that's where Judy's from and where a lot of her family still is. So that would just be really special to honor her in that way. I'd love to do another screening here in New York. And then at some point the film will end up online in some capacity. What that looks like, I don't know. Distribution for shorts is not, anything often
Yeah.
not spectacular. I don't have like any false pretenses around that, but I do want to be able to share it with people. And the nice thing about CineQuest is that it will at least be viewable for a week. I think it's the March 24th through the 31st. People will be able to rent it. So that'll be a nice way to like share it with people who haven't been able to come see it in person yet.
Yeah, well, it's a great like calling card because it's such a well done film. It's so beautifully shot. The performances are fantastic. So I think it's going to be nice when it's out there and everyone can see it, and you can just be like, "Hey, here's a short film I did."
Thank you.
So do you know what film festivals are in Chicago that would like be great for screening the film? I haven't heard of any in Chicago, but I'm not that literate with film festivals, unfortunately.
Yeah, there is one that I'm like, maybe I shouldn't say the name for superstitious purposes.
Oh,
But
okay. I'll cut it out.
there's one in particular that I'm really hopeful for. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed.
Yeah. When do you hear back?
That's a good question, actually. I don't know. I They all have different dates, so I kind of lost track. But it's always like a nice surprise when you hear from one out of the blue. Because also sometimes they say I use Film Freeway to submit the movie, and they'll often say like notification date, but then I've found that like almost every festival they tell you either like before or after that date, like the dates aren't accurate.
Right.
So yeah, we'll see.
So I want to talk about your career goals a little bit. Do you have any ideas of focusing mostly on acting, less on filmmaking, or where do you kind of want to have your career headed?
I really want to continue to find ways to wear multiple hats and converge the different creative interests, like I said earlier. And I think the great thing about directing is that I naturally get to have a hand in so many different areas. With the Judy Tenuta film, for example, something I really loved about it was working with our composer, Claire McEwen, who's a dear friend of mine, and working with her in the sense of she did everything on her own, but giving her inspirations and articulating my ideas about what I wanted the score to sound like. So that is really fulfilling for me. I I want to direct a feature length film. That's the biggest goal that I have currently that I feel is hopefully attainable in the near future. And I I have a lot of things that I've written that have the musical component to them. So that's something that I'm hoping to explore too as part of my performing and filmmaking.
Yeah. Do you want to be kind of an auteur so that you write everything that you direct, like especially for a feature film, or would you direct something that's that you haven't written?
I totally would direct something I haven't written, but I think what I'm
Mhm.
most excited about is the things I write, selfishly.
Yeah. No, I mean that's like it is the most fun to be like I wrote this and you get to bring it to life, and it's I've never directed anything that someone else has written, and I don't know if I would at this point,
There's just
but
something so magical about hearing your words that you've written out loud for the first time. And I've been blessed to be able to do that as an actor for other writers. And then I've also now experienced it a little bit as a writer, hearing my words read by other actors. And I love that feeling so much of world building and helping to create characters. So that's something that I'm really excited about.
Yeah, and I should say, like, if I read something that felt like it was something I would write, then I guess I would be more open to directing it. And I guess that's what all directors do, is they're not going to be out there like directing things that don't really speak to them. So
Totally.
yeah. So I have some closing questions. We'll get out a little early today, but I want to go through some just kind of quick wrap up questions. So ChatGPT said these things weren't public, so I wanted to to get some information. What are your top 3 favorite movies?
Oh, where's my letterbox?
Good, you're on Letterboxd. Good.
I have, Harold and Maude's my favorite, and then I am gonna check Letterboxd to see what I put.
Do it,
but because there's so many that I love so much. Okay, I stand by this. I'm gonna give you 4: Harold and Maude,
Yay.
The Warriors, Willy Wonka, and The Wall, the Pink Floyd movie.
Nice. I love The Wall. Yeah.
I really love
Very
Bob
cool.
Geldof in that movie.
Who did he play? Was he
played
the main?
Pink. I think that's his name in the movie, isn't it? Pink.
Oh, I haven't seen. I was a little under the influence when I watched it 15 years ago. But I do remember it being really trippy.
Yes.
All right, following you on Letterboxd. Okay, so that's awesome. Yeah, those are great picks, by the way. So what are 2 things that you hate? Just generally.
Well, I the smell of any sort of like cooked animal, because I'm a vegan.
You're vegan, right?
So when I go home, my brother really loves to cook steak, and or fish. That smell, I hate it. I really hate it.
Yeah.
And I also just hate cruelty to animals.
I hear you.
That's one.
That's a good one. Yeah, I know what you mean. So have you always been vegan too? Were your parents vegan?
No, I've never been a big meat eater in childhood. I was vegetarian for a little bit in my teens, and then pretty quickly went vegan. So it's been a while at this point, like 8 or 9 years, I feel like, at this point of veganism.
Mm-hmm. So, what are some, you have enough, I don't want to say hobbies, but you have enough creative interests. Do you have any hobbies outside of all those creative things?
Yes. Some of them do feel connected to the creative stuff. I really enjoy reading Carl Jung books, or books by Jungian psychologists. I like to read. So, but like Jungian dream work, that kind of stuff, I'm really fascinated by, which is also great as a storyteller. I feel like that's been very helpful. And then, I like to walk. I try to move my body a little every day. I've been learning how to swing dance, which I hope makes its way into some creative work that I do. But like, if I got to swing dance in a movie or something, that'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you do so much. Like, do you find some time to relax? I guess you go on walks to relax, but yeah, it just seems like you do so much. I hope you're making time to relax.
Oh, thanks. I go to the movies a lot. Like, I love going to see movies. So, especially older movies in a theater is one of my favorite things that I get to do. And that's very relaxing for me. I feel I relax actually a decent amount.
Oh, good. Yeah, you seem very busy. Are there any, I was going to say, personal philosophies that are really important to you? It sounds like veganism might be one of those. Are there any other kind of personal philosophies that are really important to you?
There definitely is. Just trying to think of what.
Putting you on the spot, yeah.
I have like a list of life rules on my phone.
Do you? I want to know what they are. You're going to have to post a TikTok or something, because I'm curious.
Lists. Yeah, no, Just anytime I mean, because I read a lot of like Carl Jung and self-help, and that stuff is really interesting to me. And sometimes there are things that resonate from those books that I just keep a log of. But I think, I mean, this is so basic, but just trying to be kind to people, and make eye contact, and just and showing up for people, that all that stuff is important to me. And I think when am on the receiving end of that too, I'm very grateful for it. There's, being creative, it means a lot to me when I have friends who come to my shows, or to my film screening. And it's we all live these busy lives, and it's difficult to make time for all the things. So I really appreciate the people who show up for me in that way.
Yeah.
I guess
I'm curious.
gratitude's a driving principle.
I think that's great. Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm just curious now. You're on TikTok a lot and on the social medias. How do you feel about social media? And you hear so much press about it being bad, especially for young women's mental health. How do you kind of avoid the negative consequences on being? Are you just not on social media too much?
I actually have one of those blocking apps for social media, and it's been so helpful because it's more intentional now, where it helps me to not just open my phone and that automatic to go check the Instagram or TikTok. Now it feels a little bit more like I go and I share what I want to share, and maybe I look at a few things, and then I leave. So that helps me personally. And then I try my best to post things that I'm excited about, share my passions on TikTok and Instagram. I felt so resistant to social media for a long time because I wanted to do it in a way that felt genuine for me. And I liked consuming it. I feel I learn honestly a lot from TikTok, especially. It introduces me to new artists and like musicians and visual artists, and I learn about history. There's all sorts of cool things I learn on there, but I loved it as a consumer, but for a long time it felt really forced for me. But now I'm kind of enjoying sharing things I'm interested in, and then also like meeting other people who are interested in those things too.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're maintaining good mental health then for the most part. It's not ruining your life for the most part.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think especially having it be this intentional thing is really helpful with it. Um, but yeah, I I feel I've had a pretty decent relationship with it. I don't like in the past how much time I've spent on it, and I don't like it because I find it distracting sometimes from other things I want to be doing. That's where that put the phone in the drawer thing comes in handy again, because if you're writing and then maybe you hit a block and then you check your phone, that just gets you out of that flow state that's so important creatively.
Yeah. Well, as a young woman in the industry, do you find it hard sometimes to maintain like good mental health with getting rejected all the time? Well, I don't know if you get rejected all the time, but I hear
Oh
about
yeah.
other people getting rejected all the time. And that it's a really hard industry, especially I hear for young women. So do you find it difficult, and how do you cope with kind of those pressures from the industry?
Oh yeah, totally. I get rejected all the time. It's it really I've I it's just something I've accepted, that I'm on this artist journey for my whole life. And part of that means rejection, and a lot of it at times, and other times it might be a lot of wins. And it doesn't, I feel good about the work that I'm doing. And I feel that if I am putting in consistent practice into the things that I'm pursuing, and I'm doing the things I have control over, that's all I can really do. And so I try not to think too much about the other stuff. There's so many silly little things that go into decision making for creative projects, for why people get cast in things. And I've understood that now, especially being on the other side of it as a filmmaker, where there's sometimes someone who's so perfect for something, and then for whatever stupid reason, you have to go a different direction. So it's so not personal, and it's just a part of the process. And sometimes it frustrates me, and I allow it to, and then I try to keep moving ahead.
Mm-hmm. I always get curious with how people kind of interact with fame as a goal, like, because it seems like I've heard from a lot of on podcasts and stuff, famous people are always like, fame is not all it's cracked up to be. It doesn't solve any of your problems, and it's like kind of a negative things in a lot of ways. Do you hope to just get more and more famous, or does that even cross your mind?
It crosses my mind because it is so a part of the things I'm pursuing. If I get cast in a big TV show or something, those things are going to come along with it. But also, famous is I feel like there's so many famous people these days, which I don't know is a good or a bad thing, but I like the idea of being able to share my interests and my art with lots of people. That's an exciting prospect to me. And I also really, as I mentioned, like giving my comics to strangers and having I hand out stickers so that I've designed to strangers, having the interactions with strangers that has a tangible component to it, feels really good. And so I like the idea of having more of those experiences. And I've been lucky to meet people who are heroes of mine who have been wonderful. So and who have inspired me. So the idea of being that for someone is appealing. But then there's the flip side of all the scary things that come with fame. Uh, so I don't know. That's a long, convoluted way of saying I don't know. I just want to always be creating and then kind of see what comes of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I go back and forth on it too, because it's like artists a lot of times want to share their work with people, but then I think of someone like Vivian Maier, right, where she just they found all her photos after she died, and it's like even my mother-in-law, like we found out, like, she's in her 60s now, and we found out she's like a closet artist, like she literally had all this art like just hidden away in her closet that nobody even knew about. And I'm like, there's something cool about that too, that's just like to make art for art's sake, just to express. So
I was talking about Henry Darger, who's also one of those. He died, and that he was no one knew him, and then they find all these thousands of pieces of art in his place. Crazy.
Yeah, and it's like there's some part of me that really respects that, but I totally understand wanting to share art with people. So why do you think it's important for you to share your art with others?
I love the idea of community through art. And that's something that when I was talking about Van Gogh and Keith Haring, something that they were so good about, and something that really brought them a lot of fulfillment. And I've felt that fulfillment through playing shows and performance, or going to a film screening and either something I'm in or something, whatever, something I just go to see, and then you talk about it after the movie. Opening the door to conversation, or hopefully unlocking some sort of emotion or feeling in someone that would maybe be inaccessible if it weren't for for art or for storytelling. All that is exciting for me. Um, but I think it's a combination of the external stuff, the wanting to build community and meet people, and love of humanity, and then the own simple artistic expression and desire to just, I need to get this thing out of me. I think it can be both things, and it certainly is for me.
Yeah, it's funny how artists have that compulsion to just like, I have to make this, otherwise it's just like lost in time, it's like it's just a
Right.
compulsion. um we don't have to focus too much on this because it's such a maybe overdone topic, but I do want to touch on your thoughts on AI in art. And I heard Brandon Sanderson actually give a little lecture on this recently. But yeah, how do you feel about studios using generative AI to like create a story?
I don't like it. I don't like
Yeah.
it.
Why don't you like it?
I am not, first of all, I'm not super well versed with this stuff. So I don't have a very well educated opinion about this. This is just my own gut feelings about things. But I, especially with AI created visual art, I feel that's stealing from visual artists. And that's, I don't like that, because visual artists, they don't really make a lot of money as it is oftentimes. So I mean, there's that saying like steal like an artist, but I think it doesn't apply here. It's different. um and I just like the human component to things. i think it's I think it's important in many ways. I think for a lot of people, I mean, this is something completely different, but um, human interaction, even in small, little, trivial ways, is really important. And sometimes the only way you get that in life is to go to the grocery store and talk to the person checking you out. But when we have, self checkout or automated services, um, you lose that valuable human connection. And I think that that's part of AI. I also think a lot of people are using AI for like script analysis, um, to kind of write up notes on a script, and you're missing out on like important training for young people in that world. How are we going to have, who are the artists we're going to look to in 20 years if we're not giving those chances to humans? We're replacing them with AI. I don't know. That's sort of where my brain's at. That was a little convoluted, but
No, I think those are great answers. I had a filmmaker named Brian Lewandowski on, and he was a big defender of using AI in art. And he was like, well, artists will come, like you said, steal like an artist. Artists will rip off other people's art or style all the time. Why can't AI? And I go back and forth on that. I thought that was an interesting perspective, but at the same time, I feel like it defeats the purpose of art, because you're like, the purpose as an artist is to see what you can do as an artist, and then to consume art. It's like, why would I want to consume something made mostly by AI? I want to see what a human being can do. It's like watching robots play football or something. I don't want, well, I do want to watch that, but so maybe that's a bad point. But I want to
I
see what
think there's
human beings can
something
do.
so cool about watching a movie, and knowing the hours of time that went into it, the thousands of people who worked on it, and then also this understanding that everyone who worked on that project, they probably have their 10,000 hours of time that they put into this craft that is now manifesting and blending together with other creatives. That is really cool to witness. And I feel that about really all sorts of art forms. Looking at a painting and thinking, oh my goodness, someone spent days, years of their lives making this. You don't get that with AI, and I think that defeats some of the fun of it.
Yeah, it seems like it defeats the purpose. You want to see what human beings, you want to see what you can do, and you want to see what other human beings can do. So it's like, I don't know. I have no interest in generative AI. I think you can use AI, like you were saying, for things like checking grammar in a script or something like that. Or sharpening a photo, things like that. But like generative AI.
I like it for science and things that are going to be really helpful to people, but
yeah,
otherwise I don't have a good feeling about it.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, it makes sense because the purpose of science is to like benefit humanity, which using AI will do. But if it's the purpose of art is to see what you can do and what people can do, then it defeats the purpose. So, all right, I will wrap up here. So, where can people find your work? Where can they find you and see what you're up to?
My website is down. I'm having issues. Someone keeps trying to hack it.
No.
Stop that. But normally you could find me at taylorblackwell.net. Hopefully by the time this is out, maybe I'll have a website again. In the meantime, I'm on Instagram as the musical mushroom. I also think my TikTok is the same username. If you put in Taylor Blackwell, you'll hopefully find me. I put stuff on YouTube, music videos, and I have my lecture that I'll be sharing about Van Gogh and Haring pretty soon, and other silly things on there too. So social media is a good way. I have a Facebook fan page that I update occasionally.
Very cool. All right, cool. All right. Well, Taylor Blackwell, thank you so much for coming on the show. I had a great time.
Me too. Thank you so much. Bye.
All right. Have a good one. Bye.
You too.